and welcome to another evening of frank conversation here on Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. I'm Yusuf. As the political parties start to gear up for the campaign season, we speak with Senator Yusuf, representing Taraba Central in the Red Chambers, who also leads the All Progressives Congress in Taraba State, on how he thinks his party will fare both at the state and federal levels in the upcoming polls. Senator Yusuf, welcome to Hard Copy.
Thank you very much. It's good to have me around.
Well, indeed it is. Well, one of the things that always gets me very fascinated is the fact that, fascinated about one thing we have in common, apart from the fact that we're both Nigerians. There's something you and I share in common, which is the fact that we both went to the same alma mater for our master's degree in the UK.
Yeah.
Sadly, though, when you come back and think about what is currently happening here, you went to that institution in the year that I was born. Yet, when I went there, many, many years later, the institution perhaps was even in a better shape than you left it. The same cannot be said for our tertiary institutions here.
Yeah.
Many people talk about the glory days. I mean, you yourself were a lecturer at the University of Maiduguri, that's correct? Yeah. And I'm sure that for people who went to Maiduguri in those days and those who are currently there now, they will tell you that there's a world of difference. Does this make you really sad?
Well, it is not saddening, but it is of concern because one will fail to find out why will such things, happen to these institutions. When you remember the good old days that I was a student too of the university and also a lecturer at the university. So one begin to find out why should we have such a challenging situation in all our universities, not just University of Maiduguri.
Indeed.
I went to Ahmadu Bello University too as a student. So it is not, only University of Maiduguri. So it's concern that why should such things, happen? Should it be, people think it's government, lack of funding, but I don't think it stops at that. People have to have, positive attitude towards whatever they are doing to make things better. Not necessarily there's nobody that will say I have enough remuneration. So whatever remuneration you have, you work within that, remuneration, and then, have a positive attitude to playing, a good guy in making sure that you have played your own role in the best way to improve the situation that you are.
I'm trying to see how this relates. Who would you say is not having a positive attitude now? Because some people will say, if I'm to deduce from the statement, the people who are being remunerated here are faculty members. Would you say that they're the ones who do not have a positive attitude to work?
And not only them, the administrators, the academics, even the students.
They do not have a positive attitude?
Yes.
A lot of people want to learn.
Yes, they do. But you see, you have to have a conducive environment to learn. I give you an example. If you are a visitor in a place, the first thing you'll ever think of is, where do I put my head? And not even something to eat. Go to the universities. Hostels, students don't have, a good hostels where they will even think of having, a good night rest so that they can wake up in the morning and have a good, preparation for lectures.
Well, some people will say that that's precisely why the academic staff union of universities have gone on strike. As we currently speak, they've been on strike now for 7 months. Yeah. And it is very, very troubling indeed that, 7 months into the strike, we have not been able to resolve the impasse. Are you concerned about it?
Yes, I am. I was even secretary of ASUU when I was lecturing at University of Maiduguri, but the ASUU of those days is different from the ASUU of today.
What makes it different?
The ASUU of today, looks at it in terms of what is the general paid, what is a senator paid. So they are comparing a professor to a general to a senator.
Isn't that legitimate?
Well, I don't think it may be, but I don't think, it's the right thing to do. The right thing to do is that what are you offering in that climate or in that milieu where you are operating? You should stop looking at the milieu of another person. What are you providing? In the context of what you are doing, what kind of remuneration you think you can accept. And not, okay, the remuneration of senator is this. The senator does a different work. The lecturer, professor does a different work. A general does a different work. So you cannot begin to say that because a general is paid this much, so me, I'm a professor, I'm lecturing in the university, and therefore, as a professor, you're comparing to somebody as general who probably, he has only a first degree. That shouldn't be the case.
What should be the case, Senator? Because from the argument that you make now, some people will say that it's a question of where we as a people place value. Yes.
Now, value from which point of view? From whose point of view? If you are lecturing in the university, your value is, the productivity of the students. If you do not make the students learn, do you have value? It is not just that I value what you are doing, I value your name as a professor, but I also look at what is your productivity vis-a-vis, imparting education to the children that we have sent to the universities.
Some people argue that they are more productive than the senators.
Well, yes, so some will say no, some will say yes.
Would you agree with them that,
I wouldn't agree that a professor is more productive than a senator. I won't agree.
Why wouldn't you agree?
Because they don't even know what senators do. They don't know. You campaign, you spend a lot more, you come to the National Assembly, you make laws, you do research to make laws, you do research to oversight the MBS.
But it's not your personal research. You have those who are paid to help you with this research.
We do research. Okay, we do research. I do research. I do. Maybe it's because of my background, but I do research. I don't just go to chamber, just empty-headed like that to think that, I will just talk on anything that is talkable.
The point is, there are institutions of government that are also, paid to support the work that you do at the National Assembly. Isn't that correct?
They do, but it all depends on what kind of things they bring to us. Suppose, I'm not satisfactory to the kind of research they do.
Are you then saying that lecturers are not justified with the demands that they are making? Because you've talked about how for the students, there is barely any good accommodation. A lot of the infrastructure in our universities are not in the state that we all should be proud of. I also went to a Nigerian university, and there needs to be work done, which is part of what ASUU is also agitating for. Would you say that it is misplaced?
ASUU is an association, a union, an academic union. Okay? Academic union will look at their own welfare, the welfare of that academic union, and not to challenge some other policies of government that they think is not impacting well on some sectors of the economy. No. What is the welfare of the lecturer in the university? What kind of thing do they want? As far as I am concerned, that is what should be, because it is an association. They will go after the welfare of the academics.
Indeed, and that's what they say they are doing.
No. If you say the economy is corrupt, because the economy is corrupt, that is why the government, is not taking care of me. That should not be. I'm not saying they should not challenge corruption, but they should challenge corruption in a different way, not tie it to lack of providing for their own welfare.
Okay, so what a lot of people have said, or what they have said, is that when people say, oh, but ASUU, the demands that you're making right now might be difficult to fulfill because the economy is a bit tough. And they say no. They think that if government were able to curb corruption and cut down wastages, that they will find enough to be able to provide for ASUU and the demands that it is making of government. That's what they're saying.
It is the same thing for even media. It is the same thing for even, our legislatures too. It is the same thing for the civil servants. It's the same thing for everybody. Everybody has a right to say so. But what we are saying, we are going to say in the context of our own welfare, in the context of the welfare of the lecturers. That's my own main worry.
Let me come back to to what your party is going to be facing very soon.
Thank you.
You are of the APC in Taraba State, and I'm sure that this is maybe you cannot wait for campaign season. Let me ask you up front, are you looking forward to the campaigns kicking off?
Certainly, I'm a member of APC.
Yes.
Since 2014 up till today, I'm a member of APC.
Yes.
Yes, of course, we will campaign for our party.
I asked that question because some people will say it's going to be very difficult for your party to campaign in this season. How easy do you think it will be to market the APC once again to members of your community, of your senatorial district, and maybe even your state?
Is there anything that is not marketable from APC point of view?
Including failure?
What has failed in APC?
You don't think that there have been lapses in
there might be, but not to the extent that what the media is hyping, it is not.
Is it a media hype?
Of course.
Let's take the issue of security.
Yeah.
Taraba has relatively experienced some peace before now, apart from communal crisis, for instance, the Tiv Jokun crisis, which has historical roots, shows its head up every now and again. It's quelled and managed. But there have been a few pockets of disturbances here and there involving lives being lost in some instances. In many instances, livelihoods have also experienced, I'm looking for the right word now to capture what livelihoods have experienced, but markets, for instance. I was reading this report from the Leadership newspaper talking about how yam markets in Taraba are almost now non-existent because timber sellers have taken over. There are no yams to sell, so they have left the market now for timber sellers. I don't know if you saw that report, did you?
I've seen that report.
Was it a reflection of what you know of Taraba?
I don't think so.
So it was not an accurate depiction?
It's an exaggeration.
An exaggeration of a situation, a reality.
Well, but you can have a reality, but it depends on how you put the reality, before the people. So we have yams, not that we don't have yams. We even export yams out of Taraba State. Mm-hmm. So the timber business is there, no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. But the yam business is also flourishing, because they are tying it to the fact that because of insecurity, people are not going to the farms, to farm yam.
Isn't that the truth?
Of course, but what we are saying that, it is an exaggeration, because there are yams. Where are they coming from?
So exaggeration or not, for the people who have now suffered a decrease in their productivity as a result of this insecurity, how do you think it's going to be to market your party to them?
Well, that's good. The party is both at the national, at the state, and at the local government. If we talk about insecurity, it is not just, failure that people quote unquote of the federal government. It is failure at the state level.
And this is across states?
Yes, across states, whether it's APC or PDP or whatever party it is across the states. Because the governors, with due respect, many of them, have not lived up to the expectation of running the local governments that is under them. And when you have a failure of local government administration, certainly you have this kind of insecurity that we have all over the country. So that is it.
Even where local governments are working, you have seen the agitation on the part of state governors that they need to be chief security officers, not just in name, but also in deed. Yeah. But the National Assembly has not moved or passed anything enabling that. You in particular have not been in support of state police.
I was there in the 8th Assembly, I'm in the 9th Assembly. In the 8th Assembly, we have passed, amendment of the Constitution as to autonomy of the local government. Who blocked it? The governors blocked it. And where are the civil society organizations that are supposed to also come to the aid, and make sure that, government do the right thing. Where are they?
Welcome back. You're watching Hard Copy, coming to you from our studios in Abuja. Senator Yusuf, Abubakar Yusuf, representing Taraba Central in the Senate, and who also leads the All Progressives Congress in Taraba State, is our guest tonight. And we're asking questions on how he thinks his party will fare both at the state and federal levels in the upcoming polls. But when you look at the sort of challenges that we're facing today, where, bandits, who hitherto had nothing on communities, who just come into communities, invade them, rob them, maim people, take away their property, and almost vanish into thin air. When those kinds of instances happen, how do you think that local governments and local government autonomy will be able to solve that?
Good. How much money is being spent on our local governments now for development? Every local government in this country is crying that they are not getting what is being, even, from the federation account due to them. Probably very few states, if they are. So if there is no development at the grassroots, what do you expect to happen? People, do not be provided, a sort of, succor so that, they can feel they are part and parcel of the governance. Because
the people who are suffering this the most are the people in rural areas.
Yes. That's what I said. Because when you talk about rural unemployment, where is it happening? Is it not happening at the wards? Is it not happening at the local government?
Is it cheaper for the people who are unemployed to buy guns? And is it more productive for them to, displace rural people and kill and maim them for them to get, engaged?
That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But you say if people are buying arms, where are they buying the arms from? Where do the arms pass through?
We decided that it's as a result of not having local government autonomy. That is why we're experiencing the sort of security situation that we have on our hands. Or are we looking at another problem, trying to provide as a solution to another issue entirely?
The problems are multifarious. Mm-hmm. It is not, and the solutions too will be multifarious. It is not just that, you do local government autonomy and therefore you solve every problem. That's not what I'm saying. It's far from there. But what I'm saying is that, the community needs to have a feeling of government so that the people in the community will not be frustrated, will not resort to taking arms, against one another. That's the point I'm saying. Some of the bandits, what we hear, what we are speculated, is that their rights, have been trampled, and therefore they decided to go into remote locations, and and they get ready, to fight, against this kind of system that is unjust to them. That is what the feeling of some of them. I'm not saying that is right. I'm not saying that if you have been dealt with unjustly, you should take up arms. There's also issue of illiteracy, lack of education.
Northern governors initially mulled over how to deal with these problems. And initially they thought, negotiations would work. In fact, some states went into what was that now? Something about if you bring your arms, they give you amnesty. Yeah, that was what they offered some of these bandits.
Yes.
But later on, they found out that was only empowering them even further and, giving them even more impetus to continue in the way that they have.
You know why it's failing? The reason is simple. Some of us in our communities are part and parcel of the game.
Are you a part and parcel of the game?
I'm not. I say some. I'm not. How can I be? Now, all the money that the bandits collect, where do they take the money to? You think they keep them in safes in the bush? Are the money not going into the banks? What has happened? How are the banditry money going to the banks?
So if that is the case, Should a government continue to empower bandits in that manner?
I don't know how it will be. Find a way of looking at one or two or three of them, to see whether there is a way we can engage them and begin to have a feeling of government in this country.
I do know of a group of people who were agitators in the past. The Niger Delta militants were agitators in the past, and government offered them amnesty. It was initially criticized, but a lot of people came round to see reason, because they came initially as agitators before they now went into militancy. And I know that one of the things that the Buhari campaign group, or let's say campaign organization, when it was coming into office in 2015, was the fact that the Jonathan administration had granted a pipeline protection contract to one of the ex-agitators. That was heavily criticized at the time. But it would seem that with us losing so much money right now with crude oil theft in the Niger Delta, the Buhari administration is now going back down that route. Has this come as any surprise to you?
You see, that's what I'm saying. You cannot govern without the local community. You can't. It's not possible. The local community must be given their own, rights to also, to protect their own environment. You cannot take a Fulani man, from Katsina and take him to Niger Delta and say that, look, come and guard our pipes. It will not work. Because we have the Niger Deltans who know their own environment, and then you cannot get hefty contracts and give to non-indigents of that place. Once you have indigents who are qualified, give them the contract. Create wealth in the local communities, and therefore you'll have peace. We are not creating wealth in our local communities. We are leaving our local communities, impoverished. But we have some elements in the middle who are eating fat, who are making so much money against the communities.
Would you say the same for IPOB?
Well, IPOB is a different ball game.
Why?
Okay, the reason is I don't understand IPOB. I don't. Because they say they want a country of their own.
What's wrong with that?
Well, there's a better way of doing that. Will you carry arms and say you want a country of your own? Why should an IPOB man, ask people to stay at home, to deny their own brothers and sisters there the opportunity of livelihood?
Senator, I'm just going to leave it at the fact that you say you don't understand IPOB. So let's just move on now and talk about politics in your state. You say you're a member of APC and you're going to be campaigning for your party, but you're also suing a fellow senator who has just recently crossed over into your party and has now been recognized as the candidate of your party in the upcoming governorship elections in your state. How is that going to work out? Isn't that going to cause divisions within your state?
Well, we try as leaders, to do things in the best way as to bring value to our people. I am not fighting. I didn't go to court because I don't want the candidate to be candidate of the party. I went to court because there was no lawful proper process for the emergence of a candidate at the primaries of APC governorship in Taraba. That is why, if there is, I said it not once, not twice, I want to see evidence, before Nigerians that there was valid primaries in Taraba. There wasn't. So I am fighting the process. The process must be credible to bring out, credible people.
Your demand for this process, even if it hurts your party on the long run?
Well, I don't know if it will hurt my party, but no party will come to believe that let us do something in a crooked way.
wouldn't that cause divisions along the lines of the followers? Those who believe in you, those who believe in Senator Bwacha, they certainly will be forming camps. And
Yes.
if that happens, you
Yes.
know, it certainly will affect the fortunes of your party.
First of all, believe in truth. Believe in truth. If I went to I went to court, not because I'm crooked, I went to court to demand that things should be done in the right way. No speculations. And that is all.
We'll see how that happens in the coming days. But we have to thank you, Senator Yusuf for coming on Hard Copy.
All right. Thank you very much. Some other time again.
Well, that's our program tonight. Please send your feedback to the handles showing on your screen. Thank you for watching. I'm Yusuf. Good night.